In the realm of romantic tragedies there was a lady of the night who loved not a man but two, Tim and her ever-faithful Mary Jane. Now picture our main character, a woman whose affections teetered precariously between a man named Tim and the intoxicating allure of marijuana. A peculiar love triangle, wouldn't you say? Her life was as scattered as her affections, a chaotic dance of late-night rendezvous and hazy mornings. Tim, the hapless paramour, was a mere pawn in this game of love and addiction. He was the unwitting participant in her heart's tug-of-war, caught between her declarations of love and the sweet whispers of Mary Jane. The air was always thick with the scent of impending disaster, a bitter aroma that blended perfectly with the stench of marijuana. It was a life of absurdities, a tragic comedy that would have Shakespeare himself chuckling in his grave. But alas, as the old saying goes, you can't have your pot and smoke it too. In the grand tradition of tragic heroines, Our Lady of the Night decided to dance with another, and it wasn't Tim or Mary Jane. So, in a turn of events more dramatic than a soap opera, Our Lady strayed from the path of fidelity. Ah, the allure of forbidden fruit, or in this case, forbidden lover. Now, our Tim wasn't exactly Prince Charming, but he was a loyal chap, always there to light her up, both figuratively and literally. But alas, the green-eyed monster of jealousy wasn't the only green Our Lady had eyes for, and so with the grace of a cat on roller skates, she dove headfirst into an affair, leaving Tim in a cloud of confusion and, well, smoke. But as they say, what goes up must come down, and down she went, spiralling faster than a bat out of hell. Then came the eviction notice, a piece of paper as cold and unwelcome as a winter's draft. It seemed her landlord had as much tolerance for her shenanigans as Tim had for her infidelity. And just like that, she was out on her ear, her apartment reduced to memories and the smell of burnt incense. But the lady wasn't one to go down without a fight. Did she try to win back Tim's heart? Yes. Did she succeed? Well, let's just say Tim was as open to her pleas as a nun in a brothel. He'd had his fill of her lies, her smoke-filled promises, and her wandering eye. Her life became a gothic nightmare, a twisted tale of love lost and opportunities squandered. But even in her darkest hour, there was an odd sense of humour about the whole situation. After all, it's not every day you see a lady of the night, high on love and other substances, pleading for forgiveness from a jilted lover. And so Our Lady found herself in quite the pickle, or rather the pot. In a desperate attempt to reclaim her lost love, Our Lady of the Night turned to Tim, declaring her undying love, or at least until the next joint. Ah, the drama, the desperation, the sheer audacity of it all. Our damsel, or should we say damsel in distress, decided it was high time, no pun intended, to win back her man. With all the fervour of a starving artist and the cunning of a fox, she launched her offensive, armed with nothing more than a bag of empty promises and a heart full of regret. Or was it THC? "Tim," she cried out, "I love you more than I love my Mary Jane." A bold claim, considering her past track record. But our Tim, our dear, dear Tim, he wasn't born yesterday. He'd been down this road before, and he knew all too well where it led. She pleaded, she cried, she even offered to quit her Mary Jane for him. Now that's a dedication, or should we say desperation. But our Tim, he wasn't swayed. He'd heard it all before, the promises, the lies, the tears, and he wasn't falling for it again. "No more," he declared, his voice echoing in the empty alley. "I'm done with your games, your lies, your deceit. I deserve better, and so do you." Our Tim, always the gentleman, even in the face of such betrayal. Her pleas fell on deaf ears, her tears failed to move his heart. For Tim had made up his mind. He was done with her, and there was nothing she could do to change his mind. But Our Lady, she wasn't one to give up easily. She vowed to win him back, to prove her love was true, to show him she could change. But alas, only time will tell if Our Lady can truly let go of her Mary Jane and reclaim her lost love. But alas, Tim, tired of her smoky shenanigans, decided he'd rather be alone than with a lady who loved her Mary Jane more than him. In the end, Our Lady of the Night was left with nothing but her Mary Jane, and even she wasn't enough to fill the void. Her apartment, once a haven of illicit love and smoky indulgence, now stripped bare, echoing the emptiness of her broken heart. She had bet her love on a pair of loaded dice, and Lady Luck, ever the fickle mistress, had turned her back. She tried to rekindle the flame with Tim, uttering those 3 words that had once meant so much. But alas, Tim, having been through the ringer of her deceit, was not about to be fooled again. His heart, once an open book, was now a fortress impervious to her siren song. In the cold light of day, our anti-heroine had to face the consequences of her actions. The bitter taste of regret was her only companion. And so, our tale of love, betrayal and marijuana comes to a close, leaving us with a valuable lesson. Love might be blind, but it sure as hell isn't stoned.